Hey friends, welcome back to another glorious episode of Fake Nerds Watch. I'm Ryan. I got Sparkz here.
It is my purpose to be here.
It is his purpose, and I got my favorite TVA agent himself, Ben Magnet, right here.
You would say we're all burdened with this purpose.
Burden. You know what? I feel almost blessed to talk about these 3 episodes of Loki season 2. I'm just going to come out with it. I love this. I love the last 3 episodes. I think specifically, when you finish a season, I'm going to bring WandaVision up.
Sure.
Like, I think WandaVision is a much better show than a lot of people give credit for, including me, because that finale was a stinker. Yeah. And I don't think about that as much because of the way it ends.
Right.
And when I think of the way season 2 of Loki ends, I love it. I love it. Mm-hmm. And it kind of shades away not a lot of the criticism, but like some of the problems I remember having in the first 3 episodes of the season. I remember specifically, Sparkz, at the end of our last conversation, you said, and then we agreed with, like, I think I know how the season's going to play out. Like, we think, with Victor Timely and the Loom and all that stuff. And like, I was very much surprised at the end of episode 4, and I loved episode 5, and I love episode 6. So I'm curious how you guys are feeling at the end of the season of Loki.
I'll go. As an end to Loki, I really love it. Mm-hmm. I think, like, part of our predictions you just alluded to, where we were all anticipating more seasons of the show beyond this one. And I'll admit, even as we're going to talk about this, there's a part of me that still kind of wishes we had that.
Yeah.
There's a part of me that feels like ultimately, for the amount of character and storytelling that was present in the show, 3 seasons would have been the sweet spot.
Sure.
If this is where we were heading. Huh. And I'll say, like, the ending is brilliant. One of my favorite things in the MCU.
Yeah.
I think it's so wonderful to see such a character arc landed this way. The journey to get there was not as
smooth,
as well fulfilled as I think it could have been with the materials that were on the table, and we'll kind of get into that. And it's going to be weird because it's not entirely the fault of these episodes, but there is, just as the season, information that I think is lacking.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. How are you feeling about this one, Ben?
I'm feeling very, oh God, what's the word? There is an emotion there's a feeling. I would say satisfied, but I think content is more the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Now, not to say that I'm not satisfied. I most certainly am. This was a good ending, and I'm not saying this was like an ending like we had at the end of Avengers Endgame ending, but this to me was a good ending for a character that we've been following for years.
Sure. Over a decade at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. And to me, at first, I think I'm just so used to the MCU trope of how there's always, like, at the end of an episode, end of a season, end of a big thing, there's always a teaser. There's always a post-credits thing to tease the next thing or to tease something else.
Loki will return. Yeah.
Yeah. Something like that. And the fact that there isn't, I'm actually, like, okay with, oddly enough. I know that's me jumping way to the end, to the very, very end, but that's the thing that really sticks with me. Now, episode 4, I loved it. It was, I thought it was great. I mean, we'll get more into it, but 5 and 6 were just that. I'm like, this is what Marvel could do. To me, this was peak Marvel television. Yeah. And it was fantastic.
Before we go too much further, we are talking season 2, episode 4, Heart of the TVA, which is directed by Aaron Moorhead and Justin Benson. All the episodes are, so I won't repeat that again. And episode 4 is written by Eric Martin and Catherine Blair. Episode 5 is science/fiction, which is just written by Eric Martin, and so is the finale, Glorious Purpose, just written by Eric Martin.
I gotta say, like, with the writer strike and the actor strike and all that, and like getting writers' rooms, like, that's very important. Yes. I'm very glad that's happening. Having a vision with only one writer and one, like, co-writer for one episode, but having one writer through an entire season can really harm you in the case of, like, Secret Invasion, I think. With something like Loki, Eric Martin did write on that first season, and he was kind of upgraded to season 2 when Michael Waldron went to go do Doctor Strange, and he's doing Kang Dynasty and that kind of stuff. So like, Eric Martin was already a guy in the room, so like he was able to, I think, pretty naturally take over, except for the side characters, which we'll get into. But my biggest problem is, like, serving the side characters like B-15. Sylvie specifically, like she really gets a short end of the stick in this season, considering she's like a main character in season 1.
Well,
but we'll get to that.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think you're pointing at something that I would also bring up as the thing, which is that no slight personally on Eric Martin, doesn't seem very good at writing women.
Yeah. Or know what to do with them.
Or know what to do with them, because this season, like, that is one of my big problems is all the female characters are suffering.
Yeah.
Renslayer, Sylvie, I think the worst. And then just wasting Wumi Musaku.
B-15,
I don't even know why they brought her back if this was all they were going to have her do.
Yeah.
Honestly. Like,
we will get into it throughout the episodes. And again, it is one of the things where, like, that really bums me out. And this is not me, like, washing over the criticism, but, like, at the end of the day, this is a show about Loki. So I'm glad that Loki really got served. Because if everybody got underserved, I'd be really mad about that. But, like, so we'll get into that. But Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, who directed a lot of the season, they directed, for my opinion, the 2 best episodes of Moon Knight, which were the pilot and the Tomb episode, where it's like a spooky horror episode. Right. And now they have been promoted to, now they're going to be Daredevil directors as well. So, like, I think Marvel really got a really talented pair of guys. They, like I mentioned in the first review, they're like hardcore sci-fi indie directors, and like Marvel likes to swoop up the indie guys. But I really think they found a good cohesion of, we work with the MCU and with Kevin Feige, but we could put our own spin on it. Like, this show is stylish as hell. It's directed really well. It looks good. I think it's acted. I think these guys can direct actors really well. Yes, and I think like they really lucked out with getting these directors. Again, like I don't want the same people directing everything at Marvel, but like if this is one of the directions you're going, like I'm glad you got these guys, because Benson and Moorhead, like truly, like they got it, man. Like they're so talented. I think they're fantastic.
I agree. In a direction standpoint, I fully agree. I think the direction of these 3 episodes was very good. Let's we can do some jumping around, but let's try,
just like Loki.
Let's try and do some episode 4 discussion. I think,
because episode 4, that's it's after they got Victor Timely, they got to fix the loom. There's a lot of great interactions between OB and Victor, and all that stuff, which again all comes back in again to episode 6. So I'm trying to remember what actually happened in episode 4.
So episode 4 is where we have the very gruesome elimination of the other general. And all of the time agents as Miss Minutes.
That's right. That's the cube. The cube episode. That is a good episode. Yeah. Man, look at
that. That episode was messed up.
Yes.
I mean, it was. Sorry. No, go ahead. It was messed up, but in a way that it just made, oddly enough, it just made sense on why Renslayer would do that. And the second she was able to get Brad, the other hunter, on her side, it was just like, oh, you're screwed. You're digging your own grave here, buddy. You don't even know. And it was just like, ooh, set chills down your spine to see her just like take everyone out like that.
Renslayer's not. Yes, I agree. As a moment, it's very powerful. Renslayer's not really in 5 and 6, so I think this is a good opportunity to focus on her.
Yeah.
Which I think the fact that Renslayer's only in 2 episodes of this season, given the weight of what we anticipated from her from the first season, that is one of the reasons why I sit here and I'm like, really like where we ended up, but I do think we maybe needed another season of 6 episodes.
Yeah.
Because Renslayer is the worst developed of the characters, I think.
Oh yeah.
Her motivations remain, like, I understand it they stated, I want to stabilize the TVA.
Yeah.
Basically put it back in order. And I'm like, okay, but I don't get the why. And I really don't get the why as she's uncovering more information about how her past has been messed with her. I don't understand her angle at all.
Yeah.
And that really sucks. It feels like a true missed opportunity with this character.
Yeah, I felt real quick, Ben, because I know you want to say something. I felt like with that box scene where she's getting rid of all the other TVA agents, and like I thought that was going to be like, all right, she is becoming the supervillain that she will be for the rest of the season. And again, like I like how episode 4 ends with literally all of reality kind of going away. Like they really had to make a choice of like, do we want to develop her more if we know she's not going to be in it much? And like that, I almost wish she wasn't even in the season, because like the little that we did get, it's very hollow of a character. And again, like I like Miss Minutes being weird and quirky, but like it doesn't really serve anything. Like we don't really get any more missed minutes either after that, except for the very end, like for 1 second. So like there's a bunch of characters who unfortunately get like just totally underserved when they're kind of like brought to us on a platter in the season. And then it's like, here's the platter, but we're just going to drop it.
Well, and like my biggest thing is that, sorry, Ben, you go ahead.
No, I actually 100% agree. I think that this Loki would have benefited from a third season because of I wouldn't say they're plot holes, because I mean, everything does kind of, it evens itself out, but I was expecting to witness more Renslayer and Miss Minutes just wreaking absolute havoc on the TVA. Essentially, there's two different factions of the TVA, the side of Loki and the side of Renslayer, and they're just all going at it. And I do agree with Sparkz. I love where we ended up. Not a lot of times can shows have a very rocky journey, but then the ending be like, okay, you nailed the ending, but everything before that, it just feels. Would hollow be the correct description? I feel like it's more hollow than anything.
For certain characters, the thing is, like, I wouldn't say any of the episodes in season 2 are necessarily bad.
No,
I don't think they are. No. And I think they're moving things forward. The problem is that like there's just not enough time. There's not enough time for these characters. There's not enough time for Renslayer and Miss Minutes. And frankly, like it does feel like there should have naturally been a middle season that was about them being the bad guys.
Yeah.
And then a third season that was more about the Loom destruction being inevitable.
All of this could have happened, and it would be even closer to when the multiverse movie, like Secret Wars, is going to happen too. So, yeah.
Yeah. What I was kind of hoping, because at the end of episode 3, when Miss Minutes tells Renslayer, I know a big secret about you, and it's going to make you really mad. And then it opens in episode 4, it opens with Renslayer and He Who Remains at the end of time, and he wipes her memory. I would have thought Renslayer would go on the warpath.
Yes.
I was hoping for Slayer and Miss Minutes, because Miss Minutes, her motivation's clear. She got rejected by He Who Remains. So she's like, yeah, I got jilted by a guy who, as an artificial intelligence, I fell in love with. I want revenge.
And it's just, she's revealed that information at the top of episode 4, and then I don't feel like that changes the trajectory of the things she's doing. Like, she's just trying to put the TVA back to the way it was. It didn't alter how she's going about things, and it didn't there's never a moment that's given to her for like illuminating that she is trying to set a different path for the TVA that is like now her own path, because there's like this implication that they're like, we're going to do things differently from He Who Remains. And I'm like, nothing they do structurally actually diverts away from the path He Who Remains ever established for the TVA. They're never given the time to develop that. So it's just like, it's kind of meaningless.
And it's really funny because this whole entire season is about time. So and it's like some characters just don't get enough time because they have to focus on.
There's one
so
point
much
where she's like, this place is falling apart and I'm going to stabilize the Loom. And I'm like, honestly, if that's your goal, you should just be working with Loki.
Yeah. And then you can betray him right at the end.
And it's not even present enough for why you distrust that they're fixing it. Like it's just not there.
Again, timely in episode 3 is even like, why aren't you guys working together? So because I don't trust him. I'm like, okay, but you guys literally have the same goal.
Right.
Definitely
like not trusting Sylvie, whatever, that's fine. I get it. Like you can hold the like she's the one who killed him thing, but like Loki, Mobius, and Ouroboros and B-15 are all actively working to save the TVA and protect the Loom.
Yeah.
If her goal is not necessarily put it back on the path of He Who Remains, but just maintain the TVA, and the primary thing is keep it from blowing up, it doesn't make sense why she's working contradictory to them.
Yeah.
And like there's never a moment given for like what she's trying to do. She's just basically there to cause chaos. And like it bothers me because it makes it feel like not only does she not have the information, she doesn't care about getting information to be better at it. She's just like aimlessly continuing forward without thinking.
Once she's revealed to basically be his second in command, and then like, oh, I'm going to take that away from you. She should have been radicalized in two ways, like even way more evil, or be like, oh no, I do need to save the TVA.
It doesn't seem like it changes her
character. It doesn't. And like I definitely remember thinking like, oh man, it's going to be a big reveal in the next episode, and then it's kind of like it does amount to nothing. And again, like when it's so hard because like the last 2 episodes are kind of just basically washing everything away, and it's like we're just going to focus on like the emotional core of the storytelling, and it's like then maybe you guys shouldn't have focused so hard on half these characters like for this season. Again, like Renslayer, and like we can talk about her ending because again, like it's very brief in episode 6, but like she shows up where Alioth is, and like we see purple smoke, and people are like theorizing, oh, that's not Goliath, maybe it's Kang. I'm like, no, y'all, did you watch Loki season 1? Like,
It's
that's
Goliath.
It's a Goliath. It's a big smoke monster.
Yeah.
So like, it just feels like that character is kind of just like, they're like, we can't do anything with this character, so we're just not gonna worry about it, which kind of does.
And it does feel like at that point, just take her away and leave her for another story to pick up and tell another time.
Yeah.
Like if she got to show up with another Kang down the road, I'd be like, whatever, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like at least there's something there.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I completely forgot about Renslayer. Like after she gets pruned, and then episodes 5 and 6 happen, but when she shows up at the very end of episode 6, after in the prune lands or whatever it's called, my initial reaction was, oh yeah, that happened, and then I'm like, oh, she was actually on an arc that I was actually interested to see, and then it just got cut off at the knees. Essentially,
I'll tell you what though, like. She's definitely underserved, but like the moment she gets pruned, I didn't expect it.
Yeah, no, that's good.
And that's what I love. That's what, like, again, like I do have a lot of problems, but like a lot of them do get washed over just because of like the boldness of like the last like 2.5 episodes of just like, yo, we're just gonna like just go wild. Like Renslayer gets underserved, but I feel like a lot of other people like really get to like shine.
Yeah,
I will say, as much as I do agree with Ryan. I do have some problems with that, with the ending of like, or at least with how some characters are treated, but the way episode 4 ends, because like the whole time you're getting hyped up, and then the second he runs out and he just disintegrates and he gets spaghettified, I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And everyone else is just looking, and just how it ends with Loki's eyes closing and the blinding light comes to it, and I'm like, it was one of those endings. It kind of reminded me of back when you were watching network television, i.e. like maybe the penultimate episode of Heroes, and it was like this big cliffhanger, and you're just screaming at the TV like, no, give me more, and you have to wait another week to find out what happens next, and it's itching at you because you want to know what happened.
It was shocking, like again, because like as much as I've liked a lot of the MCU shows in the past, like I don't feel like, let me think, like I like She-Hulk, but I don't think it's like groundbreaking, like something like this happens, right? I really like the show, but like same with like Secret Invasion, nothing happens like that. Like I like Miss Marvel, but nothing happens. Like this was like, I didn't think they would do something like this. And again, they, in a way, well, no, because I was gonna say like they don't do much with it, but I'm like, that's not true, because the end of the thing, it's like Loki becomes like God of the multiverse, basically. So like, it's really cool that they're like, no, we will take big risks. And like, cynically, I don't think this is the end we see of Loki. I think he will show up in like the last Avengers movie, but like this is like the ending for the character. Loki, Tom Hiddleston said it. He's like, yo, like I'm done for now. So like, and it feels like a really good ending.
It does.
And like, that's not something I could say about a lot of these, even the movies. Like it's a really truly satisfying ending. But
like
like
Tony and Steve. And
yeah, like that. Like if this is like this is movie quality, like good shit.
I feel that Tom Hiddleston's Loki has gone on. I mean, obviously Loki has gone on such a journey of being like villain, not villain, a roller coaster of a ride. And for him to get knocked out, or not, for him to get taken off the board in Infinity War, and to have him come back and see that, that pompous ass of him from season 1 or from the event from 2012 Avengers, and just to see him grow again has been just like, props to Tom Hiddleston, because he obviously loves this character.
Yeah.
And he is giving his absolute all. Like the stark contrast from season 1 of Loki to season 2 of Loki is night and day. And it's amazing. I'm not saying he's a 1-to-1 contrast of him at, say, the end of Ragnarok or at the end of, or at the beginning of Infinity War, but he's definitely grown as a character twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with everything you're saying. I think the ability, I'm going to try and stay on episode 4 and talk more about the finale later. But on episode 4, like there's more than one. I think there's like 3 moments that are truly like, holy shit, I didn't think they were going to do that. Obviously like timely, like spaghettifying before the explosion of light. And it really did feel like one of those, it's one of those moments that like, you don't even, it's about as close as you can get in the MCU to the end of Infinity War.
Yeah.
Where it really felt like, oh, damn. And like, or even just when you started Endgame and then 5 years later came up.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh God, this is not what I thought. Like, and it's
everyone's really, like, what?
Yeah, and it's kind of as close to that kind of like wide openness that we've gotten for a long time in the MCU, and that feels really good.
Yeah,
it feels really good to be caught off guard and feel like, again, like comparing to when we last talked about it, feeling like we really had a handle on where it was going.
Yeah,
that feels really awesome. I think, like, again, it is just a matter of episode 4, I think, capturing a lot of like, man, there's such wonderful stuff here. I wish I cared about half of the characters that it's happening with. Like, the moments with Renslayer are fun. Like the moment with Cassell, Raphael Cassell playing Brad, where he gets possessed by Sylvie.
Oh, that's so
and comes
good.
in to prune her.
Yeah, that's good.
Really, really great acting moment.
Yeah,
I just like, I can't really give a shit about what Renslayer's doing anymore.
Yeah.
Or
I kind of care more about Brad, if I'm being honest.
Exactly. Or Miss Minutes, You'll Never Be Him.
Yeah.
To Kang as she reduces down to her base function.
Which was a cool
a cool moment, but I'm like,
it was.
I don't know, does this mean anything?
Yeah.
Though?
I feel that.
And like, it's that there wasn't enough time with Timely.
Yeah.
There wasn't enough time for the Renslayer Miss Minutes Timely story in the middle of this. And I think the worst part about it is, like, while there wasn't time for that, there also was no time for Sylvie.
Yeah, I think of all the characters, Sylvie...
Well, it's the most egregious because she's like
a main character.
There's a trio at the front of Loki, and then the characters like come down from there.
Yeah.
And the trio is Loki, Mobius, and Sylvie. And Loki and Mobius are super well served this season, and Sylvie not so much.
Yeah, and I really like her in season 1, and I just feel like she's mostly aimless.
Episode 4 has a really big moment for me that was a big letdown in the Sylvie department, because I was kind of rocking with like, okay, Sylvie's in this place, but like part of my thing was that she's not really, I don't believe that she cares about Loki the way Loki cares about her.
Yeah.
And like, I did in season 1.
Yes.
But here I didn't. I'm not feeling
it's
that.
Like
I'm not reading that in the story.
It's like they got rid of it.
Yes.
It's like they like, oh, don't
on
ship,
one side.
Don't ship them anymore.
Like, Loki still loves her.
Yeah.
And that's there. But like, she doesn't seem to love him or feel that way or feel complicated about it at all.
Yeah.
So there's something that was an exception to that I didn't really touch much on the last time we did it. And it's when Loki's in the future at the TVA. And she sees him through those elevator doors and she's like, oh, there you are.
Yeah.
And there's like this happiness and relief that's on her face. And like, now in context in episode 4, that doesn't mean what I thought it meant.
No.
Like that their emotional point isn't there. What I thought I was chasing from episode 1. I also felt like that closing loop was a little bit lame. Like, just, it was Loki who pruned himself, and I'm like,
well, here's the thing. That's why I knew it was going to be Loki, because like it wouldn't be as satisfactory if it was anybody else.
No, but then after that, the phone call is just like Ouroboros being like, "Where are you? Get down here!" And I'm like, man, like all the interesting questions that 3 episodes later, it's like the answer is like, yeah. There wasn't like, and then there wasn't a payoff. And then again, if you look at like Sylvie's emotional place, because you see her in that episode and she's really happy to see Loki. And then the next time you see Loki see her, she's not happy to see him whatsoever. So you're like, oh, there's going to be like, something's going to happen.
Yeah.
Nothing happens.
Yeah.
Like they have that conversation in the pie place. And like, it's a well-written conversation. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it doesn't get her to that emotional place where that landed.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why I'm like, Sylvie's whole story this season felt like it was just like, I'm not going to care about anything until we're literally at the critical mass, oops, I screwed up moment. And now I have to think about it. And like, we talked about this with episode 3, the fact that like, it shouldn't have had to come to the point of her staring Timely in the face for her to consider what her actions meant.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't have had to come to the point where her universe is getting spaghettified for her to be like, oh, now it's my problem.
Yeah. That is, this is one of the problems of having one writer do everything. Like they can't, if they're, I get you. Yeah.
I do love how throughout episode 5, whenever like you see Sylvie, you see her in her life and she's going about her thing, the stuff is slowly but surely turning into spaghetti.
Her bag disappears.
Sure.
Her food disappears. There's a guy walking who's out of focus, and he just suddenly just whoosh.
Yeah.
I love the effect too, man.
Yeah. It's a really honestly, I feel like this spaghetti effect is a little more traumatizing than Thanos dusting everyone.
Sure.
You know, because this one, like with the Thanos snap, yes, half the universe just turns into dust. But with this one, just seeing them turn into, or just not just the people, but everything, all of reality is just unwinding and unfurling. Just seeing that turn into the strands of reality, it is visually more disturbing, I think.
It's definitely more like visually appealing to like
yeah, visually appealing, but also visually terrifying, because all of a sudden they just turn and they actually like they feel them unraveling, and it's so, gosh, it's just so just ugh, I don't like it.
Yeah.
I mean, when I say I don't like it, I don't like I mean, I do. I think the effect does what's supposed to do, but just it's more like, oh, this is more important than dust. I know what you mean. I know it's like, yeah, it's comparing apples to oranges, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. I love the scene where they're explaining what they have to do to the loom. So OB has his little like diagram. He's like, it's not full scale. I'm like, clearly, bro, we know.
The
Back to the Future reference.
Like, yeah, despite what's going on with Jonathan Majors in real life, the performance stuff going on between him and Ke Huy Quan as these two characters that admire each other is really cute and really good. I think really well executed on. That
whole scene in episode 4 is really great. And again, we come back to in episode 6 and it's just as good. But like, there's a little model and like, oh look, it's like Mobius. Like that doesn't look anything like me. Like and it's like clearly it's just like a little dude. It's so great.
Again,
I love
like
it.
Loki and Mobius being done really well, because you've got them like bickering over, that looks like you, that looks like me,
yeah
no, that looks like you.
I love it. And then it is a little weird that Timely is like so obsessed with chocolate, like he has to go see it. Like that's one way to get someone out of a room, I guess. He's super obsessed with the chocolate machine, but it was cute.
It was weird the way they played it too, because I felt like he was doing it on purpose. Like he was going to betray them.
That's what I thought was going to happen.
And I still thought it even up to the moment where the guy gets pruned, because the way he turns around in a flourish, it's like he does this, and then someone's pruning him like he signaled it. But then it's like, no, that's not it. And
I thought that was.
I don't know what's happening.
I thought that was like a weird, really written and executed kind of thing.
There were some moments in the last few episodes, especially episode 4, like you guys were mentioning about the hot chocolate machine bit, that feel that they were trying to do something more important, or something that had more of a gravitas to the show as a whole, and then it just fell flat. But they couldn't think of anything else to cover for it, so they just said, screw it, let's just leave it in, we'll just roll with it.
Yeah, I feel like there definitely could have been a I don't know a better way, but like, yo, I really want to go see this hot chocolate machine when we're trying to save the universe. I'm like, there could have been a better way to get him out of the room, I think.
Could have, but
yeah. I really like when Sylvie challenges Mobius not caring enough about timeline, like, you never went down, you never saw. So it doesn't mean anything to you when it gets pruned.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good scene. She's like, you're just gonna sit here and eat pie, and it's like, well, yeah. I mean,
is this the episode? Yeah, the pie scene where Sylvie's like, we can't play gods, and he's like, we are gods, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. I know you're a good guy, but that's pretty good. That's like a comic moment right there.
It's weird. There are times that the show nails it, and there are other times it doesn't nail it. I'm not going to say it falls flat on their face. I mean, once again, criticisms are valid, but like the line you just said, we are gods. I was like, hell yeah, you are, Loki. Hell yeah, embrace the chaos, my brother. Yeah. But I do like. I remember seeing a friend of mine on Twitter was talking, because I guess people were complaining about that scene in Loki, and they're saying, it's like, look, shot wise, it's not appealing, but dialogue and content wise, this scene is amazing. And I have to agree. Yeah, the shots are a little bit boring, but I don't really care about the shots. I care about what the conversation between Loki and Sylvie. And Sylvie's like, just leave me alone. And Loki is not constantly, but he's trying to bring her back to the side of the TVA. He's like, if we don't save this, you're screwed. And she's just like, cool, burn it all down. And it's this weird, I don't want to say it's a revolutionary talking to a idealist, but it definitely feels like there's political undertones, maybe not in our own political landscape, but there is, like, you have someone who's a radical revolutionary, Sylvie, who's like, burn it all down, destroy it. And I want to say it was maybe in like episode 6 or something, where they mentions like, yeah, and who rebuilds afterwards? You kill everyone, who's there to rebuild? And it's like, they're right.
in episode 5, I think they have a really great conversation in a bar, like basically about like free will versus like burn it all down, but like you have to have people there to rebuild it at the end. But if we're all dead, how's that? Yeah, that is a great point, Ben. Like it is two different ideologies, like consistently clashing because like they just don't want to like hear each other. They're not listening to each other. Actually,
and the thing is that I just feel like Sylvie gets run into that being like her plot for the whole season so much, that it feels like she gets trapped in the same Renslayer hole we mentioned earlier, which is like. It's like she's actively choosing to ignore information.
Yes.
Like Loki is saying everything that implies the destruction of all timelines, even if he doesn't say those words specifically. And he's like, this is what I'm trying to prevent because I get it. Like he who remains bad, but also we have to stop the timelines from being all destroyed.
Yeah.
And Sylvie's just like, that argument continues to just like go right over her, and like that's just constantly the thing that she's just banging her head into the wall on. And it doesn't make sense when she gets confronted with it that many times.
Oddly enough, the reason if I may real quick, oddly enough, the reason why I brought up that revolutionary thing is because at the moment I'm also watching Castlevania Nocturne, and it takes place during the French Revolution.
Is it good? I forgot it came out.
I'm really enjoying it. It's really good. Yeah, and of course,
I'm sorry.
And of course, sorry. And in that, and like the first few episodes, you have obviously Richter's friend Maria, who's a hardcore revolutionary, and then you have the abbot, who's not revolution, who's anti-revolution. And once again, you have all these things where you have a character Maria / Sylvie, who's like burn it all down, destroy it, and then you have Loki / the abbot. It's like, but who will be there to rebuild afterwards? What's the aftermath? You want to do this one thing, but you're not looking past the big event,
the consequences.
Exactly, the consequences,
which is a fine starting point. It just shouldn't take us all 6 episodes to get her to the other end of it.
She's kind of been it's like churning the same wheel, the unicycle over and over again. Like, which bums me out because again, like that season 1 character is awesome, dude. Like what a great counter to Loki, who is Loki, and like the romance part also was like a really fun aspect of that. And like, I'm glad she didn't like die. I was really worried like in later on they were going to kill her to like prevent all this stuff. And I'm like, thank God at least they didn't do that. Cause if they did that, then we'd have some real issues, bro. Real issues.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Focusing still on episode 4, I'll touch on some of the notes I have. In the initial beginning, it does seem like, to their credit, like they don't do anything with this, and it is part of my problem. But He Who Remains does have this moment in his Major's performance where he seems to allude to the romantic feelings he had for Renslayer when he feels bad about wiping the memories, which I'm stunned they never explored or really went with as it is.
It makes me think, going to Renslayer, like, yes, she is in like the place that like you're never supposed to return from, but our heroes return from it, and we don't see her dying. And she is like the lover of King in the comics, like forever, right? So like, I could see them bringing her back, but like they'd really have to do some legwork to make me care. But like again, at least like I'm glad they didn't just totally kill her, because like at least there is some redemption potentially for the future. But.
Or maybe not redemption, maybe something to bring her back, and she's even more of a force to be reckoned with.
Can I'll tell you, this is getting into the finale, but only about Renslayer, because I'm not going to talk about it. Right. When Renslayer showed up at the very end of the finale, and you see the pyramids first. Yeah. I forgot she was pruned, and I'm like, did she somehow end up back in Egypt?
Oh, yeah.
Are we getting like Egyptian? Are we getting like an Egyptian Kang connection with her? Yeah. Like, I was like, are they setting up a thing that way? And then it's like, no. So, yeah. In the pruned place. I'm like, nah.
Yeah. People online are speculating, like, oh, like, now that, like, the timeline is what it is, like, they have started to prune the Kangs. Like, they mentioned it's episode 6, but, like, maybe, like, Ramatut has been dealt with, and that's where he is. So, like, they could team up and get out of there. That's, like, a potential idea people have, but, like,
people also had this is obviously not the thing, but I do think it notes how much people wanted something of more substance with Renslayer. Yeah, people were creating theories about her being a Kang variant that Kang forced to work for him. Yeah, and like the sicko-ness that you could have done with an angle like that. Like obviously that's not from the comics, but like I think that more than anything that shows an audience appetite for this character to have something.
And they would do a mirror of Loki Sylvie,
right?
And Miss Minutes would be like, "Oh my God, you only love yourself, you gross man."
Yeah,
like that could have that would have worked for this MCU
for the context of the show.
Adaptation.
Yes, it could have been this whole thing that they really could have like, and it's clear that just people were desperately wanting that character to mean something.
Well,
and
they kind of set it up to make us feel that way.
Yeah.
Which is a problem with the show.
And like, I will say that I don't think, in a general sense, I don't think season 2 works as well in conversation with season 1 in terms of like character arcs and themes across the board.
Yeah.
Obviously, Loki's is fine. You know, like it's solid throughout. That was the focus, and they nailed it. But the rest of them, it gets a little wishy-washy.
It does. And this is absolutely no disrespect to the actor because he's great, but Casey, like the other tech guy, he got promoted to be like a regular in the show as opposed to season 1, and I'm like, you could have just gave that stuff to like B-15 and Mobius. Like, I don't think we didn't need the other extra random guy. With Ke Huy
Quan coming in.
Exactly. Like, I think there was just too many characters they were trying to service. And again, I really love episode 5 and all the stuff that happens with those different characters.
But it bothers me that Casey gets more focus than Wunmi Masaku.
Exactly.
It really bothers me.
Yes.
Because again, I don't think Eric Martin is very good at writing female characters.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that seems to be the case. On that note, in episode 4, you have the other general telling B-15 that her words can change Nox as they changed her, which I really thought was a great moment.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool. And B-15 goes and does it. The thing is, those characters immediately are killed.
Yeah.
So everything that she doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I like, this was like your one thing you were starting to do to give her an arc, and like her general, if you want to give her something, is that like they're basically setting her up to be the head of the TVA.
Yes.
And I'm like, that's great, happy for her, love that. But there's no character stuff happening in there. It's all just like moving her into the position of a figurehead.
Yeah.
And even this one glimmer of like, B-15, your words can change them. Like, go talk to them, tell them why you're passionate about this. And she doesn't. It's like, wow, she's really making them think. And then they're dead. Like, cool. The one thing we really let Wunmi Masaku do this season, it didn't matter. It never mattered.
It honestly feels as like you had one job and you messed it up.
It's so depressing as someone who's a big fan of that actor.
Yeah.
And thought that she had a lot of potential from season 1 to watch her just like kind of forced to go through motions.
Yeah.
This super sideline.
Yeah.
Like,
and also,
like just stand there and look surprised and interject once in a while.
She's really great at looking emotional.
She is. And also, I just want to be clear, when I say you had one job, you messed it up, I'm talking to the writer who wrote that part with B-15. The actor who played B-15, I can't remember her name. Fantastic. I absolutely adore her. And she's definitely a character that I really grew to really care for compared to season 1 to season 2. Same with Casey. One thing I do want to give the show credit for is how, I mean, I do agree the guy doesn't know how to write women very well, but they found the sauce where there's these, like, I air quotes throwaway characters, Casey being one of them. They become adorable, lovable, and you care for them. You want them to succeed. B-15 season 1 did not like her. Did not like her as a character. I was like, you suck. I don't want you to win. As the season progressed, and here in season 2, it was like, no, go B-15. I'm cheering her on. I want her to succeed, and I want her to do all this great stuff. And it's just like, sometimes it's like when a show nails it like that, where it makes you flip on your initial thoughts of a character, that's a mark of a decent show. Now, not to say that I still think that the ending and how they kind of put her to the sidelines for most of the season is a bit of a crime, but I will still give the show credit because throughout season 1 and now season 2, because especially season 2, I know we're jumping back to the very earlier episodes like 1 and 2, where she is like in absolute shock and anger about how that one lady is going to timelines and pruning as many branches as possible.
Docs, yeah.
Docs, thank you. Yeah.
General docs.
Yeah. But the problem is that again, like kind of the same with all the women. That's all she does is shock. Yeah. At everything that's happening in the season. And again, like this was her one moment. but it's ultimately fruitless because these characters die. Which I also did want to highlight. I really do like when General Dox is in the cube as the cube is restricting, and she's staring right at Renslayer, and she's like, "How does it feel to know that everyone would rather die than join you?"
Yeah,
it's like, that's gonna live with her.
That's gonna sting. That stings.
And that going back to that cube moment, like it's really effective. Like the less you show, the worse it is.
Yes,
because you don't need to see it, but you hear it, and you hear the screams, and you hear the bone crunching, and I'm like, wow, that's good on you, Shell. You're making me feel gross. That feels good. Hell yeah.
There's a note I have for the very ending, and that includes with this part of the thing, but let's put a pin in that, and we'll get back to it later when we talk about like the end.
This is a note just on like semantics. I don't really care, but I do think it's weird, and I think it's slightly bad writing to have not thought about it because I think at this point we were rushing. Why doesn't the TVA have some kind of alert system for when someone tempts in the way Renslayer does?
Yeah.
Shouldn't they have known?
They should have like an alarm. Yeah, no, it's true. They should have like an alarm. Or like something pops up. Somebody.
It shouldn't have taken someone walking into the room of dead people to go, oh shit, I think Renslayer might be here.
Yeah, the people who hold time and space accountable don't have an alarm system.
Also, we didn't really bring it up that much, but why does Sylvie keep sending her to the end of time? She kicks her through the time portal just to the end of time. Like, that's not gonna she has her temp pad. That's not getting rid of her.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Maybe she just did it just to show her, look what we did to your boy.
I guess.
Yeah.
Sure.
Probably. I mean, seeing a decayed He Who Remains was pretty cool.
I didn't expect to go back there so many times, which I'm glad because it's fun, like the circleless.
Yeah, but I do like in episode 6 though. That was pretty.
Do you have any more thoughts on episode 4?
Yes, I do. Just one more. When Miss Minutes is being reduced and she's starting to stutter out, Timely says, "There's no need for mocking."
Yeah.
And I thought,
oh no, they froze.
Victor Timely's a funny guy.
There we go. Okay, yeah, you guys froze for a second on my end.
What did you miss?
The second you said there's no need for mocking, and you were about to go into this thing, and it just stopped.
No, that's just it. Is Timely being offended by the stuttering.
Yeah,
but yeah. Other
episode 4 ends.
X5 is great. We won't see him again, but he was great.
Yeah, so like spoiler alert for Deadpool 3 if anybody really cares, but like we know the TVA's in that show. Like we know it. So like I'm curious how much of the TVA
has
is
to
in
be pre-Loki now, you think? I guess it could be post, but that'd be weird.
Well, it could be post because like timelines and branches and like it's all timey-wimey nonsense. But like I hope like B-15 shows up. Like if Brad shows up, that's fine. But like B-15 being like the new leader, like give her something to do. Please.
I guess I meant more in their purpose. Like, are they pruning at the time or are they not pruning?
Oh no, they're anti-prune. I think it'll be anti-prune. That's why all these timelines. That's why Deadpool 3 is allowed to exist.
Sure. Because
there's so many the multitude of madness is happening in this movie. Multitude.
Yeah.
Multiverse.
Episode 4 felt stuffed for sure. There's a lot of great moments. And it does feel like 5 and 6 kind of feel like they're the good finale of Loki, regardless of what you do. Like,
yes.
You know, there's a lot of like all those things are like the things you should do for the end of the story to be what the end of the story is. 4 is where we can really point out that it's like, legwork was not all done to get us to those points.
Again, like, why couldn't, like, if this is the end of Loki, why not give it 1 or 2 episodes more? Why do you have to make it 6 episodes? And God bless them, a lot of these were almost an hour long. Like, you know, we're not doing the Secret Invasion shit where they're like 30 minutes long.
They ran a higher timeline than the usual MCU show does, which is like credit where credit's due. I'm really glad they do that at least.
Yeah.
I do think
one more.
I do think it comes down to 2 things. This is less relevant to the rest of our 5 and 6 conversation. So, I really think that if this is what we were doing with Renslayer, Miss Minutes, it either needed to have a 3rd season and really get to tell that story in full, really flesh out these characters, and then get us to the same endpoint in the 3rd season. Have those characters have full development, the whole cast have full development. If you weren't going to take the time for that, then other things needed to be taken out of the season to give the proper characters the spotlight that was needed, specifically Sylvie, specifically either do something with Renslayer or take her out of the show.
Yeah. Honestly, you really could have saved her and just brought her into the next Kang movie, and I don't think anybody would have.
I don't think it would have. I don't think it. I think if the rest of the characters were written well for what was happening in this season and focused on, and Renslayer didn't show up, you could have Miss Minutes again, but like Renslayer didn't show up. I think it would have been fine. I think everybody would have been happy to have a good solid story, because she's only really in 2 episodes. Yeah, and she's not given.
She kind of just like takes away from like the plot in a little bit. And I'm like, oh man, like all that could have been used for like other character development, and you could have still kept her for later.
Right.
But that was a bummer. But yeah, but then the universe explodes, and I don't know what was going to happen for a week. And I was like, man, that's awesome. That's really cool.
Could be anything.
Could be anything. And then we get back and it's just Loki. Episode 5. It's just Loki. Like, oh wow, where's everybody?
One of my biggest complaints about the first few episodes was addressed, and they brought it back. And I'm so glad they didn't forget about it. And that was the time slipping bit, because in all the trailers, there was time slipping was like this huge problem. And then in episode 5, they bring it back. And just that one line of Loki says, no, we're not doing this again. And it's the crux of the entire episode, or the rest of the series. I'm just like,
it's his superpower, and he doesn't realize it yet. I love it. These like I'm so Jones. Like, it might have problems that we'll talk about, but I love episode 5 and 6. Like, truly, I love them. Like I right now I have no complaints, because like, and some people have complained about this, but like, it kind of gets away with like, it kind of pushes away a lot of things, and it's just, let's just focus on the character stuff for Loki at least. Because like, I still think like, like B-15, like they don't go into like,
I think the B-15 and Sylvie problems, like just in a blanket statement, B-15 and Sylvie's problems remain for B-15 the whole time, for Sylvie right up until the end. Yeah,
although she has a great moment in episode 5. I really like her moment.
She's littered with nice spot moments, but the character arc is not. It's like it's on hold the whole season until we get to the end.
Yeah. But Loki having to he starts time slipping across time and space to his friends who have been returned to their original homes before they were stolen by Victor Time, or by the He Who Remains, right? So we got B-15, who's a doctor in New York.
I can tell you, I got some of the rundown here.
Yeah, got it.
Casey is one of the Birdmen on Alcatraz.
That was great.
A branch timeline 1962. B-15 is in 2012 New York as a doctor.
Probably before the attack, I'm assuming, because that little girl fell out of a tree.
Mobius is in 2022 in Cleveland, Ohio.
That's funny. He's
obviously
he's post Loki season 1. Like he's that's so funny, because that's really great.
So some people have pointed out that like because it seems to be that he's on the sacred timeline, not in a branch timeline. Yeah. That would mean that he and his boys have survived the snap. So did his wife not?
That's a big theory.
That's been a big theory. Yeah. Is that his wife was blipped at the time?
Yeah.
And then 1994 Pasadena is where Ouroboros is writing science fiction.
Love it.
And Sylvie, we know where she is.
I felt so bad. I feel so bad for Obi. He's trying to get his books sold, and he has the books published, and no one's just buying them, and he's trying to put them on the shelf and just like, see, it's selling.
The Zartan conspiracy. It's a little contingency. Thank you. It's a little Easter egg, but B-15's name in her timeline, her name's Verity, and that's one of the major characters in Loki, Agents of Asgard's comic, where he becomes the god of stories, which this is partially inspired by, which is really great. Like that's Al Ewing, the god of comic books right now. Al Ewing wrote in 2015 like the best Loki run, where he becomes the god of stories, where he's even more powerful than he is in this show. He becomes literally, he can rewrite narratives at just anytime he wants, but Secret Wars happened and they had to get rid of that because he was way too powerful. But that's a great comic that this is partially inspired by. I thought that's really cool. But he's going around all the homies. Hey, I gotta tell you something crazy. You work for a time police. I need to steal you away. And that's just really great, because he talks to people and he gets teleported away and he can't control it. And he meets OB. I think it's fantastic. I think the writing is mostly really great for all these characters. Specifically, like Ke Huy Quan is so good in the show. Yeah. Whether he's OB or AD, whether he's before Christ or after death, whatever, it's so good.
I really love the setup of is this a science problem or a fiction problem?
Yes.
A lot of people think that's lazy writing.
No. That's emotional stuff.
Yeah, I think it's really good. I think it's really it's comic book shit, and like the fact that they could be like, the science rules don't matter because this is a fiction problem, and it's like that's very Doctor Who. I think
heart of the TARDIS, heart of the TVA.
Heart of the TVA. Mm-hmm. It's more about emotion for the characters than it is about the actual like science of what that could mean.
Yeah.
And the way that he focuses on that, I think is really lovely. And I really like when he gets to later and he's like, well, it's a fiction problem.
Yeah.
And it is like, and that's why like some people have pointed out that like very lightly talking about the finale when Loki does what he does, that they're like, how the heck does he do it? And it's like, because it doesn't matter. It's a fiction problem. He does it because he can.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. It is like the purest comic book shit. Like, you can't think about how this is possible. He's taking timelines in his hands. You guys cannot think too hard about it. It's about the emotion of what you're feeling.
It's a big problem for the people who like really care about power levels and that kind of shit.
Yeah, no scouters, no DBZ scouters here, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, I like the establishment of where our different characters are. I largely agree with you, especially as I think back on it, that I'm like, just take Casey out of this.
And like, I like him, but like, I don't think he really adds anything like substantial to the story other than just being like a fun character. Like, again, like I like that actor, but like other characters are underserved and you're just bringing like 2 new characters in. And one of them, OB, who stands out, but like
Casey doesn't. And like Casey, I think Casey was fine until Casey had to be in the room with them for solving the loom problem at all times instead of just like alerting them when, I don't know, when Renslayer temp pads in or something.
Yeah.
And as long as he was in that position, I think he really pulls away from the story.
Yeah.
So I would have kept it more focused on B-15, who again, like here, she's very much relegated to like, we don't even see her really talk to Loki when she gets brought. She's there. And then she's like, is this the thing? And then it's like, oh no, it's happening. And goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah, she gets nothing.
But the Mobius stuff, rock solid.
Jet skis,
like you get the whole backstory. People are already shipping.
You mean you need an ATV?
Oh yeah,
we have plenty.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we got 2 on the back.
Yeah.
Just really great. Like him going to his house and like him trying to explain to him, like it's the exact same thing, but the opposite of when he's talking about. He's like, I don't want to know what my other life was. Like if it's good, then like I don't want to know, because if it's bad, then like whatever. But if it's a better life, I don't want to know. Now he has that life, and Loki's asking him to be taken away from it. It's like, yeah, I can bring you back, whatever. But like, oh, the great. No,
it's all about the selfishness.
It's all about selfishness. But the great line is like, I can bring you back. They won't even know you're gone. And he says, no, but I will. I'll know that I've been gone. And that's really powerful, dude. Because that's not Loki. That's in episode 5. It's very Doctor Who. The great conversation with Sylvie in the bar with Loki, where she's like, Loki, why are you doing this? Oh, I want to hang out with my friends. Like, do you not understand how selfish that is, bro?
Yeah.
Like, do you think those people want to leave their lives? Like, oh, but he who remains did the same thing. Like, yeah, you can't just take people from their lives. Right. In that aspect, she's 100% right.
Right.
But then, like, the universe is going to explode. So, you got to do what you got to do.
You got to solve your problem.
You got to solve your problem.
Yeah. I agree completely with that. Ben, I know you're like very lightly familiar with Doctor Who stuff, but every once in a while you'll get a companion who leaves, and the reason they leave is because like they came back to Earth and like they've missed stuff, and like they've missed a lot of things more than they anticipated, because like, oops, sometimes the TARDIS just doesn't listen to the way you want it to, and we can't actually drop you at the moment that you left, and so like,
and it'll actually be like 3 years later,
and they'll be like, yeah, damn, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, it takes a toll.
Yeah, and I think that's well communicated for Mobius here. I also really oh, go ahead, Ben.
Is that what happened with Rose? Because that's the only companion I really know.
No, Rose gets lost in another dimension.
Rip.
Oh. She gets separated from the Doctor in a parallel dimension.
Bad Wolf.
Yeah. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen in the modern era until actually Jodie Whittaker's era. But it had happened before in Classic Who. Anyway, going back to the scene with Mobius and everything. When OB shows up with the wonky temp pad.
Oh, the big one.
And the portal's like glitching like sideways and like too high and things like that. I thought that was really funny.
How'd you make a temp pad so fast? How'd you make a temp pass so fast? 18 months isn't fast. Well, 19 since I took a month off because
my wife. But all to save the universe, right?
It's the type of thing where like you really have to perform that really well, because like that's really tragic, but it's also really funny. And like he could have that could just be tragic, but the way he plays it, like, no, that's a good joke. Like that's funny.
It is.
his
really was.
little like work shed warehouse thing is retrofitted to look exactly like his space in the TVA.
Oh, I love that.
His subconscious,
Yeah,
as a part of who he is. That is a guy. That is a dude who like he can have a life on the timeline, I guess technically, but it's clearly unfulfilled unless he's at the TVA.
Yeah.
Like that's what they established in this episode.
He is meant for bigger things than writing sci-fi books. He's meant to save the universe. Sylvie's argument to Loki is like, I agree about the point of like, you know, you're showing them an unfair choice. This is incredibly selfish, But again, it does feel like I'm ignoring the fact that it's a problem that we can't prevent and is coming for us. Yeah. Until it's literally there for her. And then she's like, oh shit. Yeah. Till it takes Larry, the record guy. And again, like I 100% agree, but that is like, I think that's like a really beautiful scene. Cause like, we don't get any extra information, but like clearly there's some type of relationship between her and that record guy. At least like if they're friends, at least a friendship. Because it's the second it starts happening, he says her name and he runs for her. So they have some type of relationship that like, I guess I don't need them to like establish it earlier in the episode or anything, but like I would like to know a little bit more maybe. Because I just want to know more about Sylvie because she's not given enough. Yeah, she's not. It is something where like I question if like we should have just had scenes of Sylvie living her life on the timeline until she feels like she has to be pulled into the story by like episode 4. Again, this is one of those things where it comes into like have more time for these characters. Yeah. Because I think like having Sylvie constantly thrust in the story to only have the same debate with Loki. And then she never even really changes her mind about it. And she always goes back to that McDonald's. And she has no solution. So she has nothing of value to contribute to the conversation. This is not me shitting on the character. Yeah. This is me shitting on the writing of the character. She constantly is just a wall of like, but we have to have free will. And like Loki's like, right, but end of universe. And he keeps trying to suggest like different things. And she's like, doesn't matter. We have to have free will. Yeah. And it's like, okay, but we're all going to die. And then she's like, then we all die. And then like has nothing for him. And it's up to Loki to come up with the solution in the end. Yeah. And it's like, that's just so lame comparatively for what that character was in season 1. For her to only have, I can only say no. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Going to OB. When he's like, oh, Loki, you need to control your time slipping. And he's like, what do you mean? How do I do that? And then he's like, he has like the cups and he's like, okay, so like, if you just like, we have like, everyone has their own like aura and like, here's all of us in a cup. Since we were all together in the TVA, if you get everyone together, then we can like GPS our way back into the TVA. It's also not the only time that all those people were in one room. Yes, but you know, for the show. And I think that's a really clever and fun idea. And just seeing Tom Hiddleston like trying to do it and him first of all, time slipping in front of the wacky waving man, that was funny. That's just some really silly shit. So I know some people hate that, but like, I think you guys are wrong. Think it's great. I think you guys need to take a nap and have some fun. I think it's great. But like, the end of the episode, like when he solves it, he figures it out. And he goes back to the moment inside OB's workshop and he's like, I figured it out. I know what I have to do. I can rewrite the story. And I'm like, damn, dude. Well, to the credit of that, like I know the motion you were referencing, but it's the close in and the scream. Oh, he does that pulls the things back into him and he realizes he can time slip. Yes. Oh, that's in his mouth. Yeah. Oh, I think that's really a really powerful like first use of controlling it. Yeah, it's a great visual. Again, like going back to the directors, I think that's a really well directed moment. Yeah. Of how he pulls it's like he pulls. He's only time slipping to the past, but the way the visual works is it's like the threads pull backwards and reset into the time around him because of the way that he stretches around it. Yeah, I love it. I love it. And like, I can rewrite the story is like such a baller, like that's such a baller line. Cause like, again, that's literally a line from the comic. And I'm just like, man, they're really doing this. It's so cool.
What I love is how he figures it out. That's not when he figures out how to use his power. And it's like the time slipping helps because of the person I'm trying to talk to at a certain point in time. I just think that's really, that's just, to me, that's a great metaphor. That's symbolic. I love it.
And it makes sense.
It's not about why. It's about who.
And Doctor Who. And it makes sense now. Like if like I'm not going to rewatch it, but like if you go back to the first episode and you see where he's time slipping to, it's the people that he's like supposed to be talking to or interacting with, like the people he needs to talk to. And I'm like, man, like I was bummed out that we didn't get any more time slipping, but like they knew they were going to bring it back.
They did
back in a huge way.
Do we want to jump into episode 6 or do we still have stuff to talk about episode 5?
Loki. We have all the pens.
Yes.
We can go to episode 6.
All The worst, not the worst. When I say the worst, it's like, because I don't mean it's the worst, because I really like this episode. I think this episode, even with the faults of the previous of the season as a whole, this is peak Marvel television. This is what Marvel television should have been doing from the very beginning.
Not everything can be this. I won't say that. Not everything can like 10 out of 10 close a character arc.
She-Hulk can be a silly comedy
for the establishment.
No, definitely She-Hulk can be. I'm talking about like.
But I buy you. The ambition is high.
The ambition's high, and I think they nailed the ambition. But man, talk about the worst Groundhog Day for Loki, huh?
Oh yeah.
And not only that, he's volunteering to do it. One of my favorite bits in this whole episode was when he's there. He's like, it was like this third time trying. He's like, how long is it going to take for me to learn about physics and engineering? And Obi's like, what? He's like, how? If I really, really need to learn, how long? Centuries later.
Yeah. Very much, again, one last time, because they are very inspired by Doctor Who. There is a Doctor Who episode called Heaven Sent that's just about the Doctor centuries doing basically doing one day for centuries.
Yeah.
And like very much vibed with like they're shorthanding some of that right here.
That is seriously like, that feels like a comic book page turn. Like, how long will it take? Centuries? You turn a page and it's a giant black centuries later, and you turn the page again. Like, they just really went for it.
And then Loki's just got the set. I really love that first scene after the centuries later, because like he's got the whole thing down now. He's got the science and everything. He's got the make sure that his helmet is sealed. Don't put it down because it's gonna blow off the walkway.
Faster.
Yeah.
And what I like is like, he eventually, like, it starts to like weigh on him, but like at the beginning, after going through, hundreds and hundreds of years, like he's still peppy. Like he's not immediately like down in the dirt. It's like, he's like, all right, great, we're gonna do this. I love it. I think good idea.
What I think is really especially like as we're getting in the first rhythm, like it's just the faster. We get the like, I don't know how I really feel about it, because it kind of just felt like for comedy. We get the moment where he bursts into the room where Miss Minutes and Ravonna were, because he's trying to go back earlier. He's like, Miss Minutes, I understand how you're feeling and you're upset about everything, but we need you. And she's like, but then it doesn't really show how that turned into anything. It's just like, well, that didn't work, so we had to go earlier and earlier.
I would have. That feels like there's like a deleted scene or something.
I do love I think everyone's doing a good job, like specifically like who's given an opportunity, which is like Ouroboros and Casey and Mobius, to react to Loki.
Like, what do you mean? What do you mean again?
Yeah. And like it's like what's happening? But when he does get to the post centuries later scene and he comes in, I think Hiddleston does a really good job of being very measured. Of like,
he doesn't want to freak these people out.
Well, not only that, but like, you know exactly, like without them showing you the steps now anymore visually, you know where he's been tripped up time and time again, even after he got the centuries later thing down and built the science himself. You know where like there was a problem with the helmet, there was a problem with the suit. He dropped the thing on the walkway, he didn't hit the button twice. Like you get all of them. But as we inch closer and closer to the success, Loki gets more and more excited. Because he's like, all right, we're getting there. It's like, it's like playing a video game level.
Absolutely.
And like you're getting to, it's like that Fortnite.
Yeah. Oh god.
It's playing that obstacle course where you can't jump in Fortnite. And getting to that point where like you've been stopped every time. And it's like, okay, all right. And you're getting more and more excited. He's getting more amped. I think Hiddleston does a really good job, and the relief on him when like he fires it, he's like, oh my god, we did it. We did it. We're finally here. And then also the devastation of like, oh my god, it didn't work.
Did you think, real quick, Ben? Did you think it was gonna work? I didn't think we were gonna. Well, see, I thought it was. I didn't know we were gonna get like the God of Time stuff. But like I assumed it was just gonna be, oh, we fixed it, and now the multiverse can exist, and it was gonna be a nice happy ending.
This isn't me trying to. Well, Ben, you answer his question first.
Part of me had a feeling that after they launched it, I was like, what's gonna go wrong now?
Yeah.
I was just waiting, especially because you see them doing it over and over and over again. It's like a lot of pop culture and television shows and even films where they do the big montage of the constantly, we're trying to do this thing and they're just failing over and over and over. It's kind of like that scene in the first Doctor Strange where, Dormammu come to Bog and he just keeps dying over and over again.
Yes.
And just seeing Loki just being exacerbated is like, okay, one more time. And because while that was kept going on, I was like,
You're so brave.
You're so brave.
Yeah, it's just when he's talking to Tylee. But the whole time I was like, this isn't a solution. He thinks he's dead set on how to fix this problem. But the problem or the solution is him.
Yeah.
He's the answer. And eventually we get there. But I just love how when he eventually does figure it out. And then but yeah, to answer Ryan's question, no, I like when he got there, I was like, yay, a little happiness, and then just the sheer terror of it didn't work.
I was just so entranced with Loki. Like I was like, film me should have known, right? Like this wasn't going to end it, but like I was just so excited for Loki. I was wrapped up in it. I'm like, we did it! Hell yeah! Happy ending, baby.
I'll be honest. The whole season, I never thought the loom would actually get fixed.
Yeah.
Because the concept was, at least not what they were saying, because what they were saying is they want to open the rings up to get more timelines in it. I'm like, the timelines are infinite. That's not going to work.
Yeah.
And like my comic book brain worked in that way where I was like, I don't think that works. Like, I think the multiverse has to exist without the loom. Without the
limit.
But I thought there was going to be a way where they were going to like, let the multiverse free but not destroy the TVA.
Yeah.
And in any other context that would work. The thing is that we learn in the later thing that we're about to get into, we learn from He Who Remains that the loom is rigged to destroy the other timelines.
Yeah.
It
was never meant to like,
it's not it's not just a filtration system.
It's just like a stopgap.
It's a
failsafe.
The failsafe. The failsafe.
Yeah.
And in that's why it's like, if that weren't the purpose of it, if you just, as Loki will do, like break the loom, or if the loom were just like, shut down, like in theory, the TVA would be fine if it weren't built to destroy the timeline.
Yes.
But it is.
Yeah.
Nasty thing He Who Remains did.
Nasty.
Let's get into Loki. He goes back and he repeats a whole bunch of the same steps with Sylvie, where it's like, you're gonna have to kill me to stop me, which I think is all very well done, of all the beats that he goes over. And
I'm
over
so
and over
glad.
Again.
I thought we were gonna go back to that time. I didn't think we were gonna get He Who Remains again. And I'm so glad we did. Yeah. Because he's like,
me too.
This is the plan, baby. I knew this is the plan. No, baby. Like, oh my God, he's so good.
Yeah, I also just love, once again, just like the earlier exasperated Loki with the timely plan of how everything gets messed up, and he's trying to fight with Sylvie, and you always hear the "see you soon." Like I was watching with subtitles on, and it just like He Who Remains squealing, and Loki just goes, "Ugh."
So you have that moment in season 1 where he tells them like there's the shift, and he's like, now we're past the boundary of where I know what happens. So he lied.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Just full of shit.
And what I love is like, he was like, yo, you guys can take over for me and like everything will be cool. And that's what happens. That is what happens. That's what Loki does, just in a different way. And I'm like, this, it feels like.
But he didn't think that this could be done.
Not in like this way, but like, it feels like He Who Remains, like, yes, he's a villain because he's destroying timelines, but also he is preventing like a bunch of evil versions of himself. So it's like, I think he's a really cool character, especially like after this season. I'm like, that's a really like kind of cool, complex villain.
I do too. I enjoy it. I don't think that this works 100% with the language of the season 1 finale.
Sure.
Purely in the sense of like the implication, though they never state it, right, is that Sylvie is pulled from her timeline, destined pretty much her whole life to serve this purpose. And the thing I wonder is like, if he was just going to rig out the game anyway, why would he even do it to begin with? Yeah. And I don't think that that's really there, and that's fine.
Sure.
But like that was a part of like his season 1, and like you could argue he's lying, but I don't think he's. I think it's too baked into the show that like Sylvie's set on the path from the moment that she's pulled by the TVA to get to that point.
Yeah.
And I don't think the question of why he would do that is now as clear.
Yeah, I agree
with what the season 2 end is. That doesn't really matter to me in the context of like what the character arc for Loki is.
Yeah.
But I do think like I don't entirely know why you set this up to happen anymore, but sure thing.
Yeah, I think that is the nature of like just having a solo writer and then not be the same guy from season 1.
You even could have had something where it's like, it's an inevitability that someone will come to stop me.
Yeah.
I wanted to control who that was.
The variables.
And like the variables of how it would happen so that it would always loop to be this. And I would have bought that. It's just never stated.
Yeah.
And I think that could have been baked a little bit more into it, because that very much is a core part of like what the season 1 thing is, that he's like, I paved the road for you to end up here. This is what's meant to happen. And you get to season 2 and he's like, yeah, you guys kind of can't win. So, kill Sylvie or everything, just continues as this loop of hell for you and everything ends. And it's like, well, but why?
And that does give us like, well, I choose option 3.
Or if you went the other way and said like, if he'd been at a point where this would have required a different kind of interaction with him with Loki, but I'm tired and I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
So you tell me you figure it out.
Yeah.
You come up with a solution because I don't have one.
Yeah. I do agree with that. Yeah.
But again, kind of not important in the context of like the Loki arc stuff.
Yeah.
Just the semantics of like from season 1 to season 2. I don't think they totally work.
They don't totally mesh. No, I agree with that. Yeah.
But I do really like it. I do really like when he pulls him in and he finally responds and he holds things and like these.
Oh, he's like
the conversation and he's like, all right, then I guess go at it again. And then Loki's like, what makes you think this is the first time we've had this conversation? He's like, okay.
I see you.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
That was a real good.
I just love how Loki just like does the finger thing and he's like, bitch, please. I'm like, oh, okay, there he is. There's my god of mischief.
What I will say I do feel is consistent in both versions is He Who Remains truly doesn't want the multiversal war to happen again with his variants.
Yes.
And he feels that is an inevitability if the multiverse exists. Like he believes that. And he's like, if you branch it out, if you found a way, you open it up to multiversal war. It will happen anyway. And I still end up back here.
Yeah. That's going to be, man, I'm going to be, after all of this, well, Secret Wars will destroy everything. So I'm like, it'd be really interesting at the end. Like, it's like at the very, very end, it's just like, he's in his seat, like, told you guys, I told you it was going to be this way. But Secret Wars is going to destroy everything and reboot everything because that's what it does.
Well, I think like I don't think they will, but I do think there would be an avenue where you could have done that kind of storytelling thing. But now I wonder, technically we've broken the loop.
Now we have
because of what Loki does. So He Who Remains wouldn't end up in that position. The multiverses are allowed, like we're kind of seeing like the birth of how the multiverse is allowed to like do its own thing. Like, because time doesn't flow the way that you think it would. Like all these things have now happened again and again. And so now we'll get up to a fresh point after what Loki did. Would the multiversal war, should it come, lead to He Who Remains? And the answer is really no, because Loki would be there.
That's true. That's a good point. He is the man on the golden throne at the end. There's so much great like time slipping happening, but like he goes back to his episode 1 of season 1.
To his conversation with Mobius.
And we learned about Mobius, about how he wasn't able to prune a little girl. Was that supposed to be Sylvie?
8-year-old boy.
Oh, an 8-year-old boy. Okay, I guess I missed that because people are suspecting that might be Sylvie, but no.
No, I don't think so. I guess it's possible. The context he says about like they're on a ship, these other people.
Oh no, that's
it doesn't line up.
No, that's true. That's true.
So I don't think so.
Yeah. But it's still to the point of like, yo, Mobius is still a good guy at heart.
Yes. I like what it says about the story, and he's like, and you gotta look at the bigger picture, and it's him still in that like contemplation space about, do I have to kill Sylvie and what does that mean? And like the context that he's talking through Mobius through about it. And again, like also revealing how Renslayer got to her position in power, that this is the thing like Renslayer says she bailed him out of. Renslayer set him on the path to nab Loki. Like all of that. Like Renslayer, whether she knew the whole plan or not, is the person who put Loki on the path that would lead him to He Who Remains.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's all pretty well built in. Really a good way to give them a moment, Loki and Mobius, as we're heading into the end of the show.
Yeah.
And that it is Loki like you get in that moment how far Loki has come.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now, Since we're talking about the end of the show, this is where I wanted to bring that pin I talked about earlier,
Boop.
especially with Loki, the very end with Loki, like, walking out and his costume changes. He gets the horns back. He becomes the god of time, essentially. I love how it's showing and not telling me, and how there's very little dialogue. There's very little explanation. It just wants you to sit, watch, and then soak it in, and then you create your own things. Now, Brian, you were saying he's the one on the Golden Throne. I'm not 100% familiar with the Golden Throne, but
that's not a comic thing. Like, it's just he's literally on a throne that's made of gold.
And that they keep. I also thought they did a good job with just on that point, Ben, that they did the moment that he goes back to with Mobius, the stuff we get with Sylvie from the confrontation with He Who Remains really highlights again the Loki's original desire for a throne and how that kind of comes around.
It's full circle.
The poetry of it.
He is burdened with glorious purpose, and it is to basically save the multiverse, which is such remember where he started, man. He was you mewling Quim in Avengers, being the worst man ever. Now he's a superhero, man.
Even the very beginning of episode 6, where it says previously, where they look at back, they show that shot where he's in that shield facility and says, "I am Loki and I'm burdened with glorious purpose." And we finally get to the glorious purpose that he's burdened with. And that's him essentially holding on to the strands of the multiverse, creating a new Yggdrasil of time.
Oh, dude,
so pretty.
I couldn't find, there was not a shot I could find to put Yggdrasil behind me, but the new multiversal Yggdrasil, really one of the coolest things the MCU's ever done. That and entire final sequence, is just astonishing to look at. And
the epilogue of the posters at the TVA where it's them nurturing the tree. It's not like Miss Minutes beating people down. It's like, hey, follow the rules or else. Yes, they're nurturing the branches. They're nurturing the tree. And it all just feels like it just, once again, show, don't tell. Now, I do understand sometimes some people might need a little bit more context, and some of the themes might have gone over my head. But what I took away was Loki became what he always wanted to be, and he also did it to save his friends. He did it to save the multiverse, and he found the third option that the He Who Remains didn't think was possible, but he did, and he got it.
Because
he is the loom. He's a sitting human loom now.
And part of the other thing is that Kang and He Who Remains, for as smart as he is and everything, is not a god.
No,
he's
Loki, just a dude.
Loki is a god, and Loki can do this. And so it's cool when Loki breaks the loom. He says breaking the loom is just going to destroy those other branches. Only the sacred timeline will survive. And that we do see that for a moment. But Loki starts reactivating them and putting life into them. And the way it all comes together, and that it becomes part of his cloak, and God, just brilliant, visually stunning.
I will say, they put a lot of good effects into this show, especially that sequence alone. And even when he goes up to his throne and he flips his cape, but his cape is just splitting with time branches, and he finally sits down and he's holding on to him, and he just gives his final burst of energy to bring life into this tree of this multiversal tree. I'm just sitting there going, this is to me, it felt like poetry. In a way. You're right. And I was saying that when I was saying earlier, when they nailed it, they nailed it.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, absolutely. There are stumbles along the way, but even the epilogue was touching.
Oh, yeah. Before we get to the Mobius epilogue, is that what you're talking about with Mobius?
Yes, the Mobius epilogue. That's
so you're right, Ben. It's really bold of them not to have any dialogue in this entire thing, because this could have been a situation where executives saw the scene, I don't know what's going on. Have OB explain what's happening. Oh, he's grabbing all the timelines and he's making sure that we're all that would have ruined.
All they really do is have Sylvie say he's giving us a chance.
Yeah, and that does not explain shit of what's happening.
But it is Sylvie doesn't know in that moment the conversation her and Loki have before he does this.
Yeah,
because he's at a different point in her timeline later, which is again where she's that's the moment where she has to come full face with consequences of my actions, I guess.
Yeah.
And is essentially I'm not going to give you my blessing to kill me if that's what you're looking for. And he's no, I'm just looking for a solution. She's let it be something, just do what you're going to do. and Loki turns that into on his own. Oh, I'll just go do it.
He pulls a Miles Morales. He's going to do his own thing.
He's going to do his own thing.
He pulls, you know what? He pulls, F it, I'll do it myself. That's what
exactly.
He does.
But yeah, like
I think we have to highlight the lines that other people have pointed out, which I shared with you. Ben, did you catch the parallel with the original Thor before Loki steps out and destroys the loom? So he turns and he says, "I'm doing this for you, for all of us." And then Mobius says no, and Sylvie says Loki, and that's exactly the same as the end of Thor
when he's
hanging from the staff, and he says, "I was going to do it for you, Father, for all of us." And Odin said, "No, Loki."
No, Loki.
Oh.
And it's the exact same, but it's got totally different meaning.
Poetry and rhymes, baby.
I missed it. I missed that part.
I didn't think of it when I was watching it until I
saw it on Twitter. Yeah.
Well, once again, it's been years since I last saw Thor.
Yeah. But like as a like, again, that full circle, that arc, that closure feeling for Loki, the fact that it parallels like his good intentions gone wrong, like good intentions in the original Thor, like what he thought was right because he was misguided, and what he's doing here and actually succeeding at what he wanted to be.
And if you remember in Avengers, like when he's in Germany, he's like, "You guys, free will is an illusion. You don't want free will. You guys are ants," you know, like, and
now he's here to be the protector of free will,
to give literally trillions upon trillions upon trillions of people, including the bad guys, the free will to do what they want. I'm like, man, that's like some of the strongest character growth like we've had, and this is not even our first Loki. That's just crazy. We've had 2 good Lokis. That's really crazy.
Like I was saying, the character growth of Loki both times, both in the main MCU and in the show, has been phenomenal.
Yeah,
it has just been a treasure. I mean, look, ever since Tom Hiddleston, we first saw Tom Hiddleston as Loki, I've loved him as Loki.
Did you know he auditioned to be Thor?
Yes, I do know that.
Wow, what a world.
Yeah, what a world. And you can tell that Tom Hiddleston himself loves playing this character. He is having an absolute blast.
Yeah.
And just seeing how good of a performer he is to revert back to 2012 Avengers Loki and have that different, essentially branch variant version of him grow into the god of time is just a wild ride. Because you have the main one who dies a hero's death by Thanos in front of Thor, which drives into Infinity War. But then you get this other one where he saves, like Brian said, trillions upon trillions upon trillions of quintillions of lives by powering the different timelines.
It's almost like unquantifiable how big this finale is. Like when you just look at it, he's walking down a path and he's grabbing strings, right?
Yes.
You have to realize that I know like we all realize that, but like, yo, that is like so cosmic, and that's like only something a comic book could do, and they did it on a TV show. And I'm like, just like, God bless you guys for even trying it, because again, like, this could have been really like cheesy or really like sappy and not in like the good way, or like really over explained, and it's like they nailed it.
This is a good time to shout out that Natalie Holt is an incredible composer.
Oh, thank you.
And the music for Loki was exceptional this season.
Yeah, dude. Loki's theme is like so good. Oh man.
Oh, we didn't highlight it all, but I thought it was cute, the opening.
Oh, going backwards
for the Marvel Studios at the top of episode.
Oh 6. Yeah, I did find that was. I saw that. I was like, hey, look, honey, they're going. I watched this with my fiance. I was like, look, it's going backwards. She's like, huh? And we watched the opening. She's like, oh yeah, you're right. I thought that was really cute. That was a funny bit.
Beautiful, incredible ending. Like maybe my favorite like finale of any of these shows. Like honestly, like I've been thinking about it like since I watched it.
I don't know what finale could top it.
No.
Like I mean, like the thing is, like the finale.
I love Loki season 1 has the best finale besides this.
Yeah, the finale makes the season and the show great, and like there are things that have held it high. Obviously, we were all like very high on season 1. Stuff in season 2, despite that, like still having like Loki has had really good high production value. The finale retroactively does make things about the show better. I do think it's helped by the fact that like even as we were having our conversation, none of the episodes were outright bad. There are just problems this season. But the finale, like you stick that landing. I question still, did we have to get to this landing now?
Yes.
Or should we have postponed it another season to give more time for these characters to breathe? Or should we have just altered what we did if we were going to get here now? But it's 100% absolutely correct that this is the ending you want. This is the ending to nail, is to give Loki this full character arc. And like in that context, yes, absolutely brilliant.
There's a great, real quick, Ben, because now actors can do press. So like Marvel is putting guns to all their actors' heads, so they're all doing press now. So Tom Hiddleston was on Jimmy Fallon, and he has like he talks so eloquently and so beautifully about Loki. Like this isn't just an actor. He's like, oh, this is a role I do. Like he loves this character, and the way he talks about the journey and like how much he like the process and like getting to become like this good Loki. Like it's a really great interview, and I'm so happy for him because like. If he never got to talk about the show, I'd be so bummed because like the show, he's so good in it.
I mean, I'll probably watch that interview just for Tom Hiddleston, just to hear Tom Hiddleston talk about Loki. But I want to agree with Sparkz, and I want to like mention that it's really weird that I want more, but at the same time I don't. I wanted stuff to I would have been fine if like the ending we got here would have been the ending of season 3, still would have been perfect. I would have loved to have more stuff with Renslayer and Miss Minutes and a whole bunch of others, a whole bunch of other stuff in between and all that stuff. And there are stumbles, but it's so weird how they stumbled, but they stuck the landing so well. And as I mentioned at the very top, I'm sorry, real quick, Sparkz, and they stuck the landing so well. I did not need a post-credit scene. I didn't need a teaser. I didn't need a Loki will return. I didn't need any of that. I was just like, this is an end. And I feel like it's been so long since we got an end.
Endgame, honestly.
Endgame. And that was how many years ago now?
Well, no, I'm sorry. Guardians Tech, I guess. But like, I'm
in a way.
In a way, yeah.
In a way. Oh God, Guardians was this year. That was such a good movie.
Yeah.
Beside the point. For
certain characters, an end, and you feel it.
Yeah,
I'll say that. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Sparkz, you were gonna say.
No. What you brought up earlier is that this didn't make you fully to the point where you would say satisfied but content, and I think I echo a lot of that. Where it's like I want to say it's a 100% home run because for Loki it is.
Yeah.
But it's not for Sylvie.
No.
And it's not for B-15. And it's not for other elements of the story that I cared about up to this point. And it's a real bummer, I think, to sit here because, like, I love it. I love the ending. It's so absolutely correct of what it needed to be for Loki as a character. But other elements of the show got missed on the way to get here. And it's a real bummer when the show was that good and had so much there. And so when I think... Are you satisfied by the finale? It's a mixed bag because I'm like, yes, in the sense of Loki and Mobius, sure.
Yeah.
But pretty much everybody else, no. I'm not satisfied in terms of Renslayer. Right. I'm not satisfied with where Sylvie is. Like, partially because like I don't disagree with where characters end up, but I don't like the journey that they did to get there. It doesn't feel fulfilled.
Yeah. And we wouldn't feel this way if season 1 wasn't so strong with all the characters.
Yeah.
Like Sylvie rules and B-15 had her arc of becoming a good person. I'm like, and then they both get dropped this season.
And Renslayer was like set up to have more.
Yeah.
And doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what's so tough is because like I want to say 100% fully satisfied with this thing because in a sense I am.
Yeah.
But in another sense, I'm woefully saddened by the fact like I don't want more of Loki, as you said, Ben. But I find myself sitting here being like, I did want more from Sylvie, though. I'm glad she's not dead. I did want more from Mobius to an extent, but nowhere near as much as Sylvie or Renslayer or B-15.
Yeah,
I agree that Renslayer, Sylvie, and B-15, their endings are kind of like, bleh. But I did like crap baskets. Mobius. I love how Mobius was able to see him with his kids.
Yeah, that's the end part. Yeah.
That was to me that was nice. And then how the camera zooms out and it's Loki closing his eyes because he can see him.
Yeah,
that's a great final line. Like, oh, I'm just gonna sit here and let time pass because that's something he's never been able to experience because he's worked in a TVA for who knows how long now.
Also, Just real quick, like also the poetry and sadness of Loki's position, because his biggest fear and the biggest thing he didn't want was to be alone. Right. And so the sacrifice he's making and feeling the weight of that.
He's alone on a throne. So like he got what he wanted and like,
but he also got the thing he wanted least, which is to be alone.
Yeah.
But he's doing it for people he cares about.
True hero.
Yeah. And he can, and because he's the god of the time, he can check in on them. He can see how they are. And to me, Loki did a noble sacrifice. As much as he doesn't want to lose his friends, he's like, in order to save them, I have to lose them. And it sucks. It's that, to me, that's the mark of a true hero. It's like there's something you're willing to fight tooth and nail for, but when the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, essentially. Yeah. Commander Spock. And this is what Loki does. He needs to save everyone. He needs to give up the thing he wants most, which is his friends.
Yeah.
And and to me, I thought that was powerful. But I do want to 100% agree with Sparkz that I wanted more stuff for Sylvie, Obi, and everyone else.
Yeah. And it's just tough when you walk away from something so great and you can't, even though you're like, I should feel fully sated, completely done. I don't need to come back to any of these characters. And I don't feel that way. There are certain people I don't feel that way about.
I'm hoping, again, like I don't know how much Deadpool 3 like TVA stuff will, but like
can't be that much.
But like I have a feeling that like we'll probably see these characters again, whether it's not until the end where we get to the King Dynasty stuff, and that's like where it's probably going to be pretty central. But like these are all great characters, and like I think Marvel knows that too, and like that's why I don't think they killed any of them, because like we can come back to them. I don't want them to come back to Loki anytime soon.
Right. I do have a question for the both of you though.
Holla.
Do you guys think that? Okay, when would you like to see Tom Hiddleston as Loki again? Do you have an idea, or do you just not know and you just wanted to let it happen gradually, or at least happen when it happens?
I don't think anybody knows, like for real. But like I definitely have a good theory just going off my comic book knowledge from Secret Wars.
I think there's a decent chance that we don't see him again, only because I think there's a possibility Tom Hiddleston will say no.
Yeah.
I think he might care enough about this character that even if he feels the story isn't right, I don't think he'll do it, even for money. I don't think he will. I think there's a good chance of that. That being said, I think the obvious answer is probably Secret Wars.
Yeah.
That there will be some contextual stuff. If the multiverse is going to be reset, as many suspect it will, then he would show up there.
I think I'm sorry, I can continue.
But if I had my way, I would hold off a long time. I wouldn't mind seeing like an older Tom Hiddleston who's been there a long time, and like a kind of like whatever the next, the far down the road, the like true like rebirth era, like we're getting
10 years from now.
We are getting old.
10 years from now, yeah.
And we're passing out of these early phases of the MCU into something new. And that's when Hiddleston's Loki is there as like something wholly new, and like he's the guy, right? He's like the guy you want to see right as it's going out. It's like he's now de facto representative of like this era is passing, the new era is beginning.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I would want to see him.
I would be fine with not seeing Loki for years, as in Disney just tells Tom is like, hey, you take your break, but we might reach out to you in X amount of years if you want to. And he'll be like, okay, yeah, enough time has passed. I'm ready to play Loki again. But honestly, because part of me thought, like, how funny would it be if he met Wade, or if he would see Thor again, maybe in Chris Hemsworth's last film, they play again, they team up again or something. I'm not 100% sure. But because I don't want to keep speculating or just like pick things like, oh, we can do all this. Because right now, I am 100% okay with letting the character, air quotes, rest.
Yeah.
I am fine with stepping away from Loki, with Marvel doing the whatever plans they have, and with like Kang or Doctor Doom or whatever. But as of right now, as Loki, the god of mischief / time is concerned, I'm good.
Yeah.
I am happy. I am content. Tom Hiddleston did an amazing job. Would I like to see him back as Loki? Abso-friggin-lutely. He is amazing. But I am fine with letting him do his thing. Maybe he comes back in Secret Wars. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he comes back earlier or later. Who knows? But as of right now, I'm just fine with him just chilling on that throne.
Yeah. I'm also totally open to another Loki variant showing up for something. Like if Hiddleston's back as a different Loki, like, yeah, go off. I'll watch him do whatever he wants as a different Loki.
Absolutely.
Specifically seeing this version, I'm like, that's got to be chosen carefully.
See, that's the thing.
But I want to see Sylvie again. For sure.
I do too. Like especially after she got done dirty. Like season 1, like I was all about that character, and I'm like, you really bummed with it. I before like all of this arc ends, like Secret Wars being the end of this thing, like I think Thor should see what his brother has become.
Yeah.
I think that'd be really important for Thor, someone who's always been behind Loki's back and is always like, except for, the Loki that gets killed in Infinity War, like they've been enemies for most of their life. And to see him transcend even Thor, where he's even more powerful than Thor is, I think that would be incredibly powerful for both those characters. In terms of him showing up again, I don't think he needs to show up at all until Secret War stuff, because that's when the big multiverse stuff's really going to be popping. I'm going to talk about comic books real quick, but you go first, Ben.
No, I was going to say, if there is a scene, because Chris Hemsworth is still sent on to do a few Avengers films, right?
I'm sure he will show up.
He's on an open contract, but due to because his health, he is a higher percentage likely to have Alzheimer's. He's taken a backseat from acting to focus more on making like wonderful memories with his family right now, because he's concerned about developing it in the future. And he's I want to savor what I have now because I don't know how long I'll have it.
Okay.
So he's like open, but it's very like limited.
I'm sure we won't see another Thor movie like the next couple years, but I think he will show up for an Avengers movie.
I think he'll show up again at some point. Yeah.
Oh no, I have because I was curious that because I'm 99% sure Love and Thunder wasn't his last stint as Thor, but you guys, because I do remember that he did say that I might get it, because 100% spend time with your family, dude, you deserve it. But I do kind of hope that he does show up in Secret Wars, and he does see Loki, what happened to him. I would like to me, that would be a good closure.
Loki hasn't seen what Thor has become since then too, because this is still 2012. So like Thor has gone through it. He has a daughter now.
I think if you did, but Loki has seen it now.
Oh, true. But you know what I mean.
Loki's seen all the different.
No, you know what I mean. Those
yeah. But they're not the same. They're not from the same universe.
Oh, that's true.
So I mean, they're like adjacent universes.
Yeah, but the audiences don't care.
I hear you, but like Loki's seen it. But I get that. I get that desire. It's not that I don't want to see it. I don't really trust the MCU to nail it.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is why I still sit at the I kind of hope that if Hiddleston feels it's not right, he won't do it, even if it would be like that feels like it can easily get a little fan servicey.
Sure.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think there's a way where probably what the MCU does to adapt it is something where Thor, this would be cool. If Sylvie tells Thor that Loki did this, and Thor, when he sees how things are collapsing, Thor goes and seeks Loki out.
Yeah. And
finds him at the center of it all. I think that'd be really powerful and cool.
Yeah.
But so I think there's a way. I don't know how much I trust currently Marvel to execute it well.
Well, the guy who's writing that movie wrote Loki season 1, Michael Waldron. So I have a little faith that he'll at least do something good, because that's I like his writing in season 1. Talk about comics just real quick, because I don't want to get bogged down with comics you guys have not read, which is 2016 Secret Wars by the god of comics, Jonathan Hickman. The Molecule Man, who is a weird Fantastic Four villain, got super promoted to being like a peon of the Beyonders. The Beyonders are the people who created the universe. Secret Wars, they are destroying all the multiverse to start it over again and all that shit, right? The Molecule Man is someone who is a constant in every single universe in the multiverse. There is a Molecule Man who's the same guy in every single universe. And when the Beyonders want to restart stuff, they kill the Molecule Man, and because his power is reality warping stuff, it destroys the universe. So Secret Wars happens because incursions start happening, things start bumping together. The Beyonders are here trying to restart everything. It's really big and explosive. Molecule Man is basically what Loki is. He is the constant of the multiverse. So there's a very easy way that once all this shit starts happening, Loki is going to get involved, because he is the guy who is in control of the multiverse. So there's no way I don't see him at least being mentioned or shown, not even regarding to Thor, but once this multiverse shit starts really popping off, Loki has to be involved, because he's the one at the center of it. And he does not have to be a major character. Like the Molecule Man is not a major character in Secret Wars, but he is a prominent and important character. So I think Loki, in some capacity, will show up. I think so. I think that feels like, at least for me, like pretty spot on for what the comics try to do.
You could do kind of a 1-to-1 adaptation of that. Yeah, I think there's obviously potential for it.
Once all of his like strengths are breaking and like he's like, what's this about? Like I gotta do something.
I gotta investigate.
Yeah.
I think there's ways. Personally, I think where my concern about it comes from is the MCU's kind of allergy reaction to making it so anyone feels they had to watch something.
Yes.
And I'm like, if you're going to bring this Loki back, you have to treat it as though people have watched this. Like you can't just hand wave that. The expectation has to be that this happened. And that's where I get the most nervous about the handling of it.
Sure.
Because I echo what you're saying at large, Ben, is if you're going to bring this version back, you've got to do it right because it's landing so well. Importantly,
this is not me rebutting this, but in just thinking of the Infinity War and Endgame, it's like by the time we get to the end of this, they kind of expect you to have seen everything, and I think that's just how Kang Dynasty Secret Wars is going to play. So I think that's like not on the audience, but like they just kind of expect you, hey, if you're watching this finale, you should have known that this happened to Loki by now.
But this wasn't an Infinity War and Endgame problem because they didn't have shows.
Yeah.
And like now we have like many multi-episode shows and ones that people don't like. And so
people like Loki.
Right.
Which is good for us.
Yes, 100%. And I would prefer that the expectation is, personally, I think like there's an amount of like, you don't need to like ring it in their faces, but you should be embracing that these stories have happened.
Yeah.
And I think it's a problem when they don't. Yeah, just in general, the MCU needs to be more embracing of the kind of, you should have a vague knowledge of everything. We shouldn't have to like backpedal and to try and catch you up for big things like this.
Yeah.
Like be aware of it to some degree, whatever. That's why they make those assembled shorts. Like go watch an assembled short if that's really what it comes to. You're refusing to watch a television show, but I don't want the movies to like subtract from character growth to a degree where they feel like they have to handhold the audience back up to full knowledge.
I have a feeling with just how like monumental like they made this show feel, like especially with the ending.
Yeah.
Like of all the TV shows, like
Loki
I think
has the best chance.
I think Loki is the only one who has the best chance because he is an Avengers. Like he's like people are obsessed with Tom Hiddleston, whether it's because of Loki or it's just because Tom Hiddleston's a cool dude. Like so, I think of all the ones that like I'm not as worried about for Loki because I feel like most people who are into the MCU at least watch Loki. Like they won't watch everything, but like they watch Loki, right? Like because he's like I love Miss Marvel and Shield, but like people don't want to watch those shows because like they don't know those characters. I'm like, well, they don't all have women. And they're women, which not a problem. Go see the Marvels in theaters, please.
I just wanted to double check it because I remember us talking about it at some point. It's only rumor, it was not fully reported, but Michael Waldron was rumored to be removed from Secret Wars at the same time they were saying they pulled the Quantumania writers off of King Dynasty.
Well, hopefully he got a first draft done.
Just so like we don't really know. I think that's all up in the air, especially as they're pushing the schedule back. I think a lot of things are
that movie is not
bit up in the air.
Coming out until 2030.
Yeah, for sure. Which I think is better.
True.
They do make a cute allusion to the events of Quantumania.
616
right. World, but they handled it.
That's cute. That is cute. And if you look close enough on the file, you'll
see a picture of him. Yeah.
I thought that was cute. I got nothing else.
Apparently, in the context of Quantumania, apparently TVA only gives a shit that he was about to be a problem in the 616 adjacent world, because they clearly didn't give a shit about the world he destroyed before. Because Hope, she scans his mind and sees the destruction of another multiverse where he killed other Avengers.
That's right.
And so like apparently the TVA is like, well, that was fine, but like he was almost a problem for Ant-Man there.
Yeah, he was stuck in a quantum realm. Thank God. We don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
It's also funny because it's almost like obviously like I don't think they're going to completely like immediately get rid of Kang, but like it is funny. It's like, Kang not actually that big of a problem. Don't worry about it. Who's Dr. Doom? He's that guy.
I think they can all. I kind of hope that's not the route because I feel like I think it's a disservice to Doom to just kind of shoehorn him in place.
Yeah,
and like Kang's, it's stupid to think like, okay, we lost Jonathan Majors, that you can't do Kang. There's so many other black actors.
I just don't understand
step in and play Kang.
We literally have a show that's about variants where we have Loki and Sylvie, and they just can't consider recasting.
Why are we acting like we didn't recast Terrence Howard into Don Cheadle?
Terrence Howard is the new Kang.
I've seen other people out there be like Jonathan Majors, and I'm like, I bet he doesn't want to do another franchise for Disney, but I'd be into that.
Yeah.
John Boyega, sorry.
John Boyega. Oh, okay. I thought you meant Terrence Stamp or Terrence. Yeah.
I would be very into John Boyega.
Yeah, man. There are so many great, like literally. And the thing is, like, what's that movie? Heath Ledger passed away. Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus.
Oh yeah.
That's the one where there was like 4 different people playing that
the
character.
same guy. Yeah.
Like you can literally just cast a bunch of different actors. You don't have to like that. It's the whole point of variance, guys. Come on, be
Loki literally in the show has multiple variants that don't look anything like.
Bro, in episode 5, like the Eliath episode in season 1, they fight a bunch of Lokis in.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and like that's like a dozen random.
There's
dudes.
a black Loki.
Yeah, there's an alligator.
Yeah, we don't have to be married to Jonathan Majors for all the cake.
Yeah, I just don't know.
I was about to say,
the He Who Remains one closed its loop, and it's like, you can just recast him. It's really not the end of the world. We can still do Kang storytelling. The Kang setup as an idea is cool. There's still a lot they can execute on it. I don't want them to get all chicken feet about it because they're like, no, well, we can't use Majors anymore.
Yeah.
I was just about to say cast Idris Elba, but I was like, no, but he was already in a Marvel franchise. He was
Heimdall.
Yeah, he's Heimdall.
Heimdall, thank you. Yeah, it's like, oh,
he's canceling the apocalypse. Yeah, that's I love talking theory stuff like this, like some of my favorite stuff to do, just because it gets to intertwine comics and stuff. So like I'm excited about the future. I really really love these last couple episodes of Loki. Like it does have problems, but man, like it's again talking about like the WandaVision thing, like like that's a great show with a bad ending, and I don't think about the show as much. And like it shouldn't be that way, but finales are really important. Like it's the last thing you see, right? So like I'm just glad it's stuck that landing.
Especially when they're structured. Loki wasn't structured quite this way, but especially in like the context of WandaVision or others like that, where it's very much structured like you're kind of watching like a long Marvel movie. Yeah, and like that's how they thought of it. Yeah, and like you feel that. So like if the ending is bad, the ending's bad.
Yeah, that's true.
And like that's Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I try not to think about it,
but like they couldn't land that plane, and that makes the whole thing like not that the whole thing was solid beforehand, but like because that ending is so bad, it's rough. Or the ending of Secret Invasion, like whatever they had to pull their pits out of the fire on that one, like the ending of it kills it, and that's just how it works. But Loki season 2, it helps with some of the problems. But they are there, and it's unfortunate that it wasn't flawless. Yeah,
and again, I am super stoked for the directors Benson and Moorhead. Like they're moving on to Daredevil. Like that had some production woes, and like, yo, why don't we get the guys who are really good directors to help do this? And I'm like, you guys did something good there. I'm really excited. I think they have this they're just great directors overall. Like with the good, whether the writing's good or bad. Like I think they can give good performances from their actors. Like I'm so excited for the future of Marvel right now, to be honest.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. Things are looking up, which is really nice to see. Because for a while it's like, we burnt out. What's wrong with Marvel? Now it's like, okay,
it's important to remember, as I'll try and always remind, that like we have been still. We are just starting to really come out of the productions that weren't affected by like heavy COVID stuff, weren't affected by like the shakeups with Chapek when we're talking about the television shows. Like we are still just coming out of the era where like those decisions affected these productions, because it takes a while for us to see the changes that are happening behind the scenes and the reactions to fans not jiving with things. Like those haven't completely taken hold yet in the products that we've been given. So we can't like. The machine's moving so fast, it's going to take time for it to catch up to the way we're reacting to it, and to pivot and to make changes, because a lot has been happening behind the scenes trying to get there, but like we are not really deep into the products yet that are affected by that change.
There's an Ironheart TV show that was supposed to come out this year that is just pushed until who knows when. Yeah. And like that bums me out. Because like that's again like COVID really messed some things up, and like in so many different things, and I'm like I'm not as.
But even then, that was also like deep in the Chapek era of like he was just like greenlighting show again, like, and they were. I don't think it's wrong to think that like there was an overflux of MCU shows, and it really needs to be thought about who needs a show and who needs a movie. Thank God Armor Wars got changed to a movie.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good for Don Cheadle, man. He deserves that. Big movie time.
He does.
Well, I love it. Love talking to you guys about this stuff.
In a broad sense, sorry, it's just because this thought is here. Yeah. I think in a broad sense, a lot of the Disney Plus shows I wish had been more like Ms. Marvel, where we were getting like, or Ironheart, where we're getting a lot of those characters. If you really were going to go for the Young Avengers, like, do build them up in shows. There's more time to spend with them while they're young if you're doing these shows, and then bring them all together.
We're gonna have a Stranger Things situation where all these teenagers are now 30.
Yeah. Those little boys from WandaVision really will play the teenage versions of them.
Hey, it's me. It's Wiccan.
They will. Well, anyways,
I think that's about it.
Yeah, that's about it.
Love it. Couldn't be happier. You want to take us out, Sparkz? Because I'm never good at it.
Yeah, I will.
You're better at this than me.
This has been Fake Nerds Watch over on the Fake Nerd Podcast and the Fake Burn Network and all that stuff, where we talk about all kinds of things. We are fortunately free of the SAG strike, hoping that the actors got everything they wanted, because we really think they deserve everything they were asking for. So we're finally releasing Fake Nerds Cinephiles and Fake Nerds Watch content, as you'll know, because they're coming out in the order of what we recorded them.
So this isn't coming out when we recorded it.
So this is a little bit behind from the end of Loki, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And so we hope you're enjoying it. There's plenty that we were talking about. There's plenty more ahead. We also do a ton of Basement Arcade pause menus, conversation with our co-host Brandon T. McClure is going on, all kinds of stuff. Of course, our regular episodes. Please check that all out wherever you can. FakeNerdPodcast.com to get information about all the shows and what's going on. Subscribe here on YouTube. Subscribe on the audio feeds. Please, and review. It helps. And that's all of it. So, Ryan, where can they find you?
You could find me just reading more comic books about Loki, because after this episode, I was like, man, I got to read some more Loki comics, at DJ Tony Snark. Ben?
You can find me being burdened with a glorious purpose at BedMacket27 on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Threads. You can also find me writing for Old School Gamer Magazine, Fusion Gaming Magazine, GoNintendo.com, and playing Mary Frankenstein on D and Dark. Because we all know Mary Frankenstein is definitely burdened with glorious purpose.
You can also find me eagerly anticipating the future of the MCU at Sparkz Witty on Instagram and Twitter, SPARKZ Witty. All right, until next time, stay fake nerds.